Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. There we go. Are you having a good morning so far? Okay. Mixed feelings, 50-50s. But welcome here to this session. You'll see it's for admission and accommodation. My name is Joshua. I work in the division of student recruitment here at Stellenbosch University. So somewhere, somehow, you might have seen my face pop up at your school or one of my colleagues. This is a very information-heavy session. So we're going to be giving you lots of information. I see there's some notebooks out, notepads out, and this is just about the process. Before any of the nice things of Stellenbosch, and you've maybe been to the faculties, the residences, before any of those nice things happen, we first need to get in, right? So the questions that you have are the questions we're going to deal with today. Lucky for me and for you, you don't have to listen to my voice for the whole hour. I'm joined by my wonderful colleagues over here, experts in their respective fields. So how this session works is we're going to be chatting through some frequently asked questions just around the process of getting into Stellenbosch University, getting into residence, talking about different curriculums, and then we're going to have a short Q&A session once we've concluded that. You'll see there's a QR code on the screen. As we go along, you're welcome to scan that QR code, post your question there, and then we'll deal with it in this session. If we cannot get to your question in the Q&A session, we will also be in front here to answer your question, and you're more than welcome to have a chat with us. So are you ready to go? Okay, let's try that again. Have you guys had coffee? Are you hungry? What's wrong? Do you feel tense? Are you intimidated by all these big things? And you don't have to be. This is just a chat. Just take it as a chat between friends, right? Sometimes your friends tell you things that you don't like to hear. That's probably going to happen today. But it's fine. Once we leave here, we'll shake hands and smile. So I also just want to give you context of how privileged you are because of your hard work, right? So 100,000 people more or less apply to Stellenbosch University. Only 5,500, 5,600 students get admitted. So you are one of 100,000, yes, but you're also potentially one of 5,500. Does that give you context of the situation? So your hard work has got you to this point. And I just want to congratulate you. Give yourself a round of applause. If there's anything you can be excited about, it's that. You can do better than that. Let's try again. There we go. So without further ado, I'm going to let my colleagues introduce themselves, and you'll hear who they are and what they do at the university. Then we'll jump straight into the questions. We're all fine. We all took a deep breath. We're all nice and relaxed. Smile. We're not going to ask you questions. You're not sitting in a lecture. So yeah, please feel welcome and feel relaxed. Colleague, over to you.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Brigitte Hubert, and I'm the Senior Manager at the Student Accommodation Office. So at our office, we deal with the residences, both on Stellenbosch campus as well as Tygerberg campus. And then I'll also just touch on some of the private accredited accommodation. And when I say private accredited accommodation, I mean accredited, we fall within the NSFAS norms and standards. So if there's anybody that has a question about that, please post it on the link. But yeah, I hope we have a fantastic session.
Thank you.
Morning, everyone. So my name is Lauren Dalport. I'm the faculty administrator of the Economic and Management Sciences faculty, but I'm representing all the faculties today since we are the Center for Student Administration. We start with your admission. So yes, we send you an offer and we take you through registrations up until graduations. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, good morning, everyone. My name is Sia Ngemtu. That's short for Sia Vuya. I am the Central Application Officer for International Schools, specifically doing evaluations for SA citizens who have completed the international curriculum. So if you do have any questions between now and then, you can use the link to pose them, or we can actually cover those questions after this session. Yeah.
Thank you so much, colleagues. As you can see, ladies and gentlemen, we mean serious business over here, professionals in the field. So these are the perfect people to answer your questions. And we're going to start at the start. Lauren, the question that you all have is, when will I hear, right? when will I know? So talk us through the timeline for that final admission for the applicants following the NSC and the IEB curriculums.
Okay, thank you, Josh. So we always refer, we see this picture as you are over the first hurdle now, so now you're waiting to get over the last and the final hurdle. So if you are NSC, IEB, and also SAICA curriculum, then we get your results from the Department of Basic Education on the day it's released to you at the school as well. So you don't have to send in your results to us if you did that curriculums. So as soon as we receive the results, we process it, and then we give you the same day, we give you your offer as well. So the other curriculums works a bit differently, but I'll ask Sia just to touch on that, how that submission works as well. And then when you receive your final offer, you only have 2 days to accept. So it is it's a quick game, so you need to be on top of your emails. Also make sure, for example, if you applied using your parents' email address, just look out for the final offer on that email address. Don't worry to change it now, because once you admit it, you'll get a student email address as well.
So, ladies and gentlemen, email address, right? Not your post box at home, not your WhatsApp, not your Instagram. Emails, very important. And you have 2 days to accept your final
Yes,
offer.
just 2 days.
And can you please just emphasize how important that 2 days is, because once it's gone, right?
So, yes, it is a really competitive pool, as Josh indicated. We received a lot of applications. So we try to fill the faculty's spots as soon as possible. Because just after that, we start to open another process, but that we will touch on. That is the reconsideration process for applicants that didn't get in with a final matric results. So 2 days, not 2 working days, literally 2 days, 48 hours to accept. A lot of faculties, if that offer is gone and it's expired, you can't email them or ask them to reissue it. Some faculties does reissue conditional offers at this stage, but with the final offers, it is a bit limited time that you will have. So, yes.
Thank you. The next question builds on that question. And this question is usually laced with lots of stress and anxiety. What marks do I have to get to ensure I get a final offer?
So, with your results that you got into, or you got a conditional offer now, that's your grade 12 result, your grade 11 results. So you need to maintain the results that you got in grade 11, or you need to improve it. So the moment your results drops, your marks drops, then you are a bit in danger to lose your seat. But don't panic totally. For example, if you applied for a high admissions requirements program, let's say the cutoff was 85% average, and now you didn't get the 85%, you got 80%, then there's probably a program in that specific streamline that you can actually choose as a second option. So that's where you actually fill in the reconsideration, which we will elaborate on as well. So first prize, ensure that you maintain your results in the grade 12 final exams as well, just to secure your spot.
So the essence and the core of that message is consistency.
Yeah.
We want consistent academic results. You know that sometimes your term results looks like a bit of a roller coaster. It goes up and down and up and down, but we want that consistency.
Yeah.
And the reason why I said that is always laced with lots of stress and anxiety is because sometimes applicants become so hyper focused on getting that final result. But I want to encourage you and put your mind at ease that you've done enough so far. You've put in the building blocks, and that's what got you your offer right now. There's nothing else that you can do except for just keep doing what you were doing. So don't get too focused on the final results. Am I going to get the final offer? I need to work hard to get the final offer. You've proven yourself, and that's why you're sitting here today, right? So then building on that question as well, the next and the other side of the coin would be, if my grade 11 marks weren't good enough and I was marked unsuccessful, can I be considered with my final grade 12 marks?
That is always a challenging question because we always have, the fact of the matter is we always have limited seats. So that's where the reconsideration process also comes in with every faculty that opens in January. We don't open it beforehand. Some faculties, if they have space in specific programs, they do take applicants that improved with their grade 12 marks. Some faculties doesn't because we simply do not have capacity. So I would advise, if you are looking at a specific program, go to that faculty's website because the reconsideration information and the criteria will also be published on a general site for everyone to obtain that information. So please don't send emails for reconsideration, or I want to say don't waste your time to come and stand in the queue for reconsideration because we work it behind the scenes. We process the reconsideration list. Every faculty looks at the individual reconsiderations. So we give you an answer as soon as possible because we know there's a lot of other processes that is dependent on your final offer, like for example, your residence space as well. So I would say I won't give you 100% hope, but yeah, the door is open for certain programs, yeah.
It's important to know that that is a if process, not a when process. So we chatted about it in the previous session, and there's a saying that says, don't put all your money on a certain color. Please don't put all your money on reconsideration. You've heard that if, and if, and if, and if. So if you're going to try to come stand in lines in January next year, it might be challenging to have that hope, or dangerous to have that hope sometimes even. My next question would be, we obviously know that some applicants have already completed matric in last year or the year before. What's the process for them, and what does the timeline look for them in terms of that final answer?
So applicants had already applied, completed grade 12 that applied, they already got a final offer. So if you got a final offer, your space is secured because you skipped the first hurdle of conditional offer because you applied with the highest results that you obtained, which is grade 12. So that process is a bit simpler for that applicant. They can only register, so the next step is that they need to register in January. The registrations normally opens middle January, but just keep your eye on the website because we will, up and from December, definitely all the registration information will be published on the website.
Going back to January, let's just clarify for the ladies and gentlemen the timeline in terms of when will I hear. So let's say I get my matric results the Tuesday, when can they expect to hear?
So NEC in IAB, as I mentioned, in SAICA curriculum, you get your offer the same day because we have an agreement with the Department of Basic Education that they send us your results. So with the other curriculums, there's a slightly different process. See, I can just touch on that because it might take a day or two to get to those applicants because we process it and we look at it individually as well.
Okay. Everybody have that information? Okay, are you alive? Yes? Okay, it makes sense? Okay. If there's any other questions, clarifying questions, you can post it via that QR code. Thank you so much for that, Lauren. And just jumping straight to continuing with the theme of admissions and international curricula. So we know that not all of our applicants follow a NSC or IAB curriculum. I see there's already one question here about the American High School Diploma. So they are ahead of the curve over here. So just, yeah, talk us through that timeline for the final admissions for students following international curriculum.
Okay, thank you, Josh. Good morning, everyone, again. So, with regards to the international curriculum, for specifically SA citizens, but for the international communities as well, the university will be sending you a link towards the end of October. Now, we will be using that email address that you used when you started your application, when you submitted your application. So we'll send that link. That link will be live from the 1st of November. Then from the 1st of November, you are able to submit your final results. I do know that was for some curriculums, the American High School Diploma, the International Baccalaureate, and some Cambridge students have already completed school. So from the 1st of November, you are able then to submit your final results using that link. That link will be active up until the 2nd week of January. I do assume that it will be the 15th of January, so the sooner the better in terms of submitting those final results so that we can start with the final evaluations and then forward it straight to the faculties for final selection.
So they would hear more or less that same time frame and period as the other students.
Yeah,
More or
maybe.
less.
More or less, yes.
Okay.
Yes, 4 days.
That leads me to my next question. You've spoken about the link that will be received via email, and that's where they upload their results. But a question that is sometimes asked, are students doing international curriculum disadvantaged in any way compared to an NSC or IAB applicant in terms of their consideration to study at Stellenbosch University?
No, not at all. I don't think that's something that you need to worry about. As I've said, from the 1st of November, you are able to submit your final results. It's slightly different from the NSC and the IEB, where the system literally just generates the results and they are able to issue out the offers. So now, from the 1st of November, it sort of gives you, quite a long period to submit those final results and keep them coming. We do, evaluate them manually. So that's why it's highly encouraged. If you have completed school, then you submit your final results from the 1st of November. But every student is considered. We do get to all applications that are submitted, so no one is disadvantaged at all. Yeah.
Perfect, thank you so much. The ones doing international curriculum will understand this next question. Do I need to apply for matriculation exemption before I register at Stellenbosch University? Talk us through all those acronyms from early on, MBT, APS, all those things. Talk us through that.
Great question. So I'm going to start with the American High School Diploma. Now, for applicants who are following that curriculum, you would have to also submit from the 1st of November your final results. You would need to submit your diploma certificate along with your final transcript and one of the 4 following proficiency tests. So it will be your NBTs. I highly recommend that for SA citizens because it's cheap and you can literally complete. I think some universities do have venues where you can complete your NBTs. And then you can also complete your SATs or ACTs or AP exams. So we require one of those 4 for the American High School Diploma applicants. For SA citizens who have completed the American High School Diploma within the South African borders would have to apply for what we call the Senate discretionary exemption. So now it is the faculties who will be considering those applicants. So the sooner the better in terms of submitting those final results so that they can go to the faculties, the dean then approves those applications, then the final offer letter is then sent to that pool. So the sooner the better. One of the following, as I've said, your diploma certificate, one of the proficiency tests that I've mentioned, SATs, ACTs, AP exams, or the NBTs, as well as your final transcript. And then we're also looking out for a GPA average of 3.5 for SA citizens who have completed within the South African borders. So for that curriculum, the university will be taking over in terms of applying for matriculation exemption on your behalf. But of course, the fee would need to be paid by the applicant straight to the matriculation board, in which when we're doing that, we're going to provide you with the banking details, but you can, of course, get them on the USEF website. And then when it comes to the Cambridge students, now we apply for the matriculation exemption for that pool as well. So what we look out for in the final evaluations of Cambridge students, we'll look at whether the applicant meets the matric exemption requirements before they are admitted into the university. Then we send that recommendation to the faculties, then a final offer is issued. Then in your first year of studies, we then book an appointment with either me or my colleague Chantal, who then at that point we will help you with the matriculation exemption application. So slightly different, but obviously the same process in terms of applying for matriculation exemption. As well as the International Baccalaureate, we apply on your behalf as well, German Abitur, all the other curriculums. It's just slightly different for the American high school diploma applicants, where you would have to meet the exemption requirements before admission, get all of those documents in terms of the proficiency tests and everything that is required by the faculties before admission is issued.
Thank you so much. A wealth of knowledge, as you can see, ladies and gentlemen. How do people get in contact with you or Chantal should they want to clarify that process in any way?
Great question. Okay, so we do have a shared inbox that is manned by me, Chantal, and our manager Cindy sitting over there in the corner. So there's three people who are manning that inbox and ensuring that you are replied to promptly. So it's SA Internet Schools at sun.ac.za. If you do want the email address, perhaps we can meet after the session, and then we can just write it down for you. Yeah.
Thank you so much. SA Internet at
Schools.
SA Internet Schools
At sun.ac.za.
at sun.ac.za.
Specifically for SA citizens.
Okay.
And then we do have our colleagues at Stellenbosch University International. So that is SUI undergrads at sun.ac.za in terms of students who come from the international communities.
Perfect. Thank you so much. You even know everybody's email address. so thank you for that. We've gone through the admission process now in terms of marks, in terms of curriculums. So now let's head to the other part of our discussion, accommodation. Anybody have any questions about accommodation here? Yes, I'm sure. Nobody. Let's stick with the theme of when will I hear? Because that's always the question, the first question. So when can applicants expect final feedback on placement?
Okay, so let's just start at the beginning,
Yes.
like all of the others spoke about. So at the beginning, Josh said how many applications for programs you actually get and how many first years actually get a space to study at the university. So it's the same scenario for accommodation. So plus minus 10,000 students applied last year. Just looking at the stats from 2024. So about 10,000 applied for residence placement, but we only have space for 2,000. So obviously it's tight and we need to look at criteria and we need to obviously look at specific students and how to fill the residences. So that application process closed on the 31st of July. Unfortunately, we don't accept any late applications. But there is good news. You can still apply from the 1st of November. But going on, so the program offers started going out in May, and that's also when we started sending out residence offers. So if you have still not received anything, it might just be that you don't fall in our criteria. But as I said, there is still time for you to apply. So we will now continue with these offers up until the 31st of October. And thereafter, on the 31st of October or the 1st of November, you will receive an email that states, unfortunately, at this stage, you did not get a space. But on the 1st of November, a waiting list will open up. There will be a link on martis.com that you can go to and that you can click and that you can actually advise us that you are still interested in university residence and that you can apply on there, and then we will consider you based on cancellations. So important, please remember as well, and I had this question in the previous session, if you did not apply for residence placement, you are still allowed to register on the waiting list. Important to note, we are not going to send you a reminder because remember, we don't know that you're interested in residence. You didn't apply for residence in the first place. So you need to remember that the waiting list is open for you as well, and you can apply on that waiting list on the 1st of November. Okay.
You've answered like 6 of my questions that I had, so thank you for that. Just to emphasize, because this will always be a question, you can say it how many times. If my application for residence is unsuccessful, this is where the misunderstanding comes in. How do I request to be reconsidered? So what's the best way to communicate with your office in this process?
So remember, as I said, we don't want to know that, okay, yes, via email that I'm still interested in residence placement. You need to know that you need to register. The only way that we're going to know you're still interested in residence accommodation is if you register on that waiting list. It's important to note and to just take note of this, that yes, the waiting list opens up on the 1st of November. That doesn't mean you're going to get a space immediately off that waiting list. We need to wait for cancellations to happen, and unfortunately, most of our cancellations only happen once the matric results are released, which means that's only in January. So if you are still at that point still interested in university accommodation, then once you've registered as a current student, there will be a new waiting list that then opens up, because remember, we get then done with applicants and everybody is now a student. Then that waiting list will then open up on the 12th of January, and that you will then do and inform us, yes, I'm still interested, and then we just wait for the cancellations to come in, because who knows, a lot of students are waiting for other universities to send them offers. They shouldn't do that. They should come to Stellenbosch University. But it happens. Okay, so it happens, or they go overseas and they get an offer to study overseas, or they actually, for Stellenbosch campus, if you get accepted to study on Stellenbosch campus, that's where you're going to stay. But if you get accepted on our Tygerberg campus, that's where you need to stay. So you're not allowed to stay on our Stellenbosch campus if you are studying on the Tygerberg campus. So then there's also some cancellations coming in, and then we can also consider students from the waiting list. So it's never too late, apply on the waiting lists.
Again, an if process. So very important to keep that in mind. So let's say I did not apply for residence, or I could not. I saw there was a question like that popped up here. How will I get information about where to go and where to register for the waiting list? Will I still get the same email? Do I go on the website? What do I do?
Okay. So like I said earlier on, you're not going to get that email to say that you've been unsuccessful with your application because you didn't apply. But all the information, all important information is available on Marties.com. So on Marties.com, you'll find information about our terms and conditions, our residence placement policy, and our management guidelines. And it's always informative to look at all of that, because that's where they also tell you who are we going to look at, what's the criteria that we look at to actually send you an offer in the first place.
Thank you so much. Very interesting word you used there. Buzzword at Stellenbosch, criteria. Everywhere you look online, you'll see criteria this, criteria that. You obviously gave us the route to go and find the information, and that's some homework for everybody. When you leave here and you're sitting at home after the rugby later on, check our criteria in case you need a good bedtime story. But just give us an overview of that selection criteria, just briefly.
So if you go and you have a look at the management guidelines or the terms and conditions, you'll see that there's 3 main criteria. And it's not academic and a race and a socio-economic status separately. We look at it as a whole. So we look at our group of students, but the 3 criteria is the main criteria. And if we look at that group as a whole, we need to see, okay, who are these students that have been accepted to study at the university? And do they fall within this criteria? And how do we actually spread them throughout the university residences? So please, it's important, academics, race, and socioeconomic status. And if we say socioeconomic status, we mean students that have applied for NSFAS or any other funding based on need. And those are the three main ones. If you obviously want more detail and want to go more in depth and see where does my child fall in, please send us an email and we can go into depth about your specific son or daughter.
What's your email address? Just share.
So not my email address.
Your office email address.
So our email address is studentaccom@sun.ac.za. And if you forget that, once again, martis.com. Martis.com is your friend as a prospective student.
Thank you so much for that. So you've heard it first here about residence. That makes sense, yes? Hello? Okay. I'm happy that you're still with us. Brigitte, you know that we have a student body of over 30,000 students. Not everybody obviously can fit in residence. You've heard there's only 2,000 spaces. So it's a simple but complex case of supply and demand, right? High demand, low supply. So there is a private accommodation market in Stellenbosch, and a good one at that. But any tips on navigating this private accommodation market, especially with so many scammers out there?
So we said now, not every person, so we accept 5,500 first years, and then we've got all of the current students as well. So not everybody can stay in residence. We've got plus minus 8,000 beds, say 8,400 beds. So not everybody can stay. So it's very important. If you are looking at private accommodation, please use our website. We got so many scammers in the last few years. There was even a scammer that said that I've got a space in Erika, I don't want it anymore, but please, if you pay me 5,000 rand, you can have my bed. So if you see stuff like that, it should show a little red flag. We would never ever advertise anywhere. We will send you an email directly. Another thing is look out for scam emails as well. Last year there was an email going out with my signature at the bottom and the university logo. So it must be an official email, it must be an official website. Go to martis.com. If you go onto martis.com, you'll see 3 links. It's either going to be prospective students, current students, or private accommodation. Click on the private accommodation link. There will be a list of accredited accommodation for our Stellenbosch campus, as well as the list of accredited accommodation for our Tygerberg campus. And if there's any doubt in your mind because you saw it maybe on, what did you say, Josh? On
Marketplace.
Facebook Marketplace, don't listen to that. Don't go there. Don't even contact that person. On the martis.com website, there's also some useful links, and those are the only official ones that you should also make use of. And those might not necessarily fall within the accredited accommodation, but at least it's useful links that you can go to and go have a look and see what is something that I can look at that nobody's going to scam me out of a 5,000 rand or a 10,000 rand.
Going back to that word accredited, can you just give context on what that means for a private accommodation source?
Yes. So NSFAS only pays out, and we've now seen this is not just NSFAS, it's other bursaries as well. They only pay for accommodation that has been accredited. And when we say accredited, it meets certain norms and standards. So it says that it must have a bed, it must have a desk, it must have a chair, etc., etc. It must be a certain size, there must be so many bathrooms, etc. So you will then know if the accommodation is accredited. At least you are getting good quality accommodation within a certain bracket. The ones that are under the useful links are not necessarily not good. They are too good and too expensive, so they don't fall within that bracket. But accreditation just at least gives you some guarantee, because there's people from Johannesburg or Limpopo or wherever that also look at that website, and at least they know, because they can't be in Stellenbosch to go look at the place, they at least know they're going to get some quality accommodation.
And if they're unsure, they can reach out to you guys.
Definitely contact us. So studentacom@sun.ac.za, you can contact. You can also contact us on private accom.co.@sun.ac.za. If you have any questions about private accommodation, please do contact us. Please send us an email if you're worried about something as well. You saw this somewhere and you just want to check, is it actually something valid and legit? So please do contact us, and we will assist you as far as we can.
Thank you so much. You've heard it there first, folks. Marties.com, please. It's your friend, your best friend in this process. Try to stay away from Facebook Marketplace. Very few good things happen there. Maybe you'll get an air fryer for cheap, but you won't get an apartment for cheap. And if you get scammed there, then there's not anything that we can really do about that, because that people disappear so fast, as you know. So give our panelists a round of applause, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you very much. So now we're heading into some questions, and we purposefully end the session a bit early as well, if anybody does want to come to the front once we're done. But these are some of the questions that was posted. And I'll start with you, Lauren and Sia, because there's a question about NBTs. So I can almost draw a line down the middle there between the two of you, because there's a big difference between why you need NBTs and where you need NBTs.
Yeah.
So starting with you, Sia, can you just clarify that again? NBTs.
Okay, great question. Thank you, Josh. Okay, for the American High School Diploma applicants, so applicants who follow that curriculum, you would either need, as I've explained earlier on, one of the 4 proficiency tests. So NBTs, ACTs, APs, AP exam results, or the SATs. Now for SA citizens, I always just encourage you to write the NBTs, because we need that for the matriculation exemption application that we will be doing on your behalf. So it's one of those proficiency tests that we require from the matriculation exemption application. And of course, I'm just going to mention that the law faculty does require you to complete the NBTs as part of the requirements for that faculty. So if you are then completing the American High School Diploma, then it would be good, to just complete the NBTs, and you know that you are good for the matriculation exemption application, and you're also good for when it comes to the faculty-specific admissions requirements. Yeah.
So can I just add there what Sia mentioned? So it's only the Faculty of Law that requires NBTs for the selection. So if you don't fall in this category that Sia just mentioned, and you're applying for another program in another faculty, please don't waste your time to write an NBT test, because we don't take that into consideration in any other faculty for the selection process.
Okay, thank you. That's the best and most clear explanation that we can get. So thank you for that. Brigitte, the question is, how are disabled students accommodated and supported in the residence space?
That's a very important question, and we do get it often. So when you apply for accommodation, let's start with when you apply for your program, there's actually a form that you complete, and you inform us of what is your disability, what is your illness, what is your condition. And with that information, it gets sent to our disability unit, and they then contact us, because a lot of our residences do actually accommodate students with different disabilities. There's special rooms that are actually set up for students. I know that with a deaf student, you get a room with a special light and a bed that shakes. And so they put in a lot of effort to actually accommodate our students. But first and foremost, the most important thing is it must go through the disability unit. People, if you don't inform us, we don't know about you and we can't accommodate you. So it's not just important for residences, but it's also important for the faculty, because the faculty needs to make sure that the venue is accessible for you, that they have everything in place. So it first goes through that, and then it comes to our offices, but we do consider it. So, and I feel they actually make a lot of effort to accommodate students that are differently abled, yeah.
I think that's the most important thing. If we don't know, we can't help you. So being differently able does not put you at any sort of disadvantage. But we do not want you to come here and suffer, please. That's not what Stellenbosch is about. So we want to support you, but we can only support you if we know that you need the support. So please do reach out to us, info@sun, if you have any questions about that, or call our client services helpline. Thank you for that, Brigitte. Lauren, here's a question for you. In a previous session that I was in, they said I have 3 days to accept my offer. This one says 2. Can you please clarify, is it 3 days or is it 2 days?
Okay, so you had until the 30th of September to accept your offer. So now the offer's expired. So if we reissue an offer, in the time frame from now up until January before the results comes out, you have 3 days to accept that offer. But if the results comes out in January and you get your final offer, you only have 2 days. So that's where the difference comes in with the 3 days and the 2 days. So while you still wait, you have 3 days to accept. Also just bear in mind that not all faculties reissue offers now after the 30th of September. So a lot of faculties look at the stats now and see how many spaces they have available. So some faculties would be more accommodative to say, if you inquire, yes, we will reissue your offer, your conditional offer, but some doesn't. So just inquire with the faculties directly. So 3 days up until January, and once the final results is released, only 2 days, 48 hours.
48 hours, 2 days, not 3 days. There you have it. Thank you so much. And this is an open question to the panel. There are lots of questions about, and sometimes misconceptions about Stellenbosch and language. So there's a question here that says, what is the primary medium of education? What's the primary language at Stellenbosch University?
So we have classes and programs that is offered, all programs and classes offered in Afrikaans and English. So it depends on the availability as well, and the access of the content of that program, specific programs as well. So I would advise it's best to consult with the faculty and also the program that you applied for, because there is dual medium Afrikaans and English classes that we offer. Yes.
But as a standard, it is English?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Perfect. Thank you so much. Next question is for both of you, actually. If I've accepted and been placed in a residence, and I paid the deposit, I got allocated, how long do I have, and can I cancel? If so, what is that process? And then also just talk us through that final offer, accepting, cancelling, accepting at another university thing. So we'll start with you, Brigitte, just the residence cancellation process.
Okay. So once you have been allocated, you have up until the 31st of October to actually cancel your space. And just going back a step, because we haven't actually done this yet, as Lauren has said, you had until the 30th of September to accept your program offer. So in the student accommodation office, we just basically waited to see who is going to actually come to Stellenbosch University, because if you're not coming, we can't place you. So by the 30th of September, you were supposed to accept your program offer. So once we've got that pool, then we're going to start looking at, okay, now we've got our pool of students that we want to place in residence. Where are we going to place them? So if that was a question in your mind, or if it's maybe still on the board there, we will start that process from next week onwards. We've got our pool of students. Now you see, okay, I've been placed. And now I'm like, okay, now I don't want to go to that residence anymore. You have until the 31st of October to actually cancel that space, and then you will get your full deposit back. Between the 31st of October and the day that the matric results are released, you can also still cancel your placement, and we'll charge you a 900 Rand admin fee. So keep that in mind. And then after the matric results are released, you have 2 weeks to inform us that I don't want to come to Stellenbosch University anymore, or simply I just want to go live in private accommodation and I just don't want the residence place anymore. Then we will also still only charge you the admin fee. Anything after those 2 weeks, you will lose your full deposit. So please, people, keep those dates in mind. Once again, Matis.com is your friend. All the rules, all the terms and conditions are on there.
Perfect. Thank you so much. Lauren, final offers.
Okay, so with the final offers, so we say that you apply obviously at different universities as well, just not to keep all your eggs in one basket, but we hope Matis is your number one. So with a conditional offer round, you can accept multiple offers from multiple universities. But with your final offer, you can only accept one, and you can only register at one institution. So after the registration period has been completed, let's say February before the classes starts, we work with the Department of Higher Education and other institutions on a database to see who is simultaneously registered at different institutions. It happened before, and it's quite embarrassing if you get an email from an institution to say, sorry, you need to we deregistered you because we see that you're already registered at University X. So just keep in mind with the final offers, only accept one institution's offer.
Okay, thank you so much. I think in plain layman's terms, make up your mind.
Yes, yeah.
Decide where you want to go, wherever is best for you. Might be Stellenbosch, hopefully it is, but make up your mind and do not catch yourself in that situation because like you said, it catches you completely off guard. Sia, is one last question about the link that you spoke about for uploading the results. Can you please just clarify that again? The question just popped up here now.
Okay, thanks, Josh. So the link will be, the university will send a link towards the end of October for students who are following the international curriculum. That link will be live from the 1st of November, where you can submit your final results.
Okay.
And I think it will close on the 2nd week of January, which is around the 15th.
Okay.
Yeah,
Perfect.
I think, yeah,
Yes.
is it clear? But if you do have any questions, then we will be available for a brief Q&A after the session in terms of the link. And if you have any questions, then you can definitely send us an email as well.
Perfect. Thank you so much. One last question and then we'll conclude. So, Brigitte, there's lots of questions here. How much is it going to cost? So please outline payment arrangement for accommodation. And then the second part of that question would be, will final accommodation offers be emailed or must one consult their portal?
So finances is in the next room.
Next.
No, so once again, remember, I think currently on the website is still the 2025 fees that are on there. But if you add plus minus 8 to 10%, then you'll get to what the accommodation is going to cost for next year. What was the second question again?
The second question was, will accommodation final offers be emailed
Okay.
or must I check my portal?
Okay, so once you've received a final offer, you will actually get a residence. So once you've received your residence placement, which will happen within the next week, that is basically a provisional offer, but that just means that the provision is that you actually get a final program offer. If you get a final program offer, that means that you can stay in residence. So there's not going to be a final letter that says that, yes, this is now final placement. Our provisional letter is with the provision that you get a final program offer. If that is done and that is in place, you are in residence. Remember, at the end of the year or close to the end of the year, you will receive information directly from the residents informing you of what you can bring, when's the welcoming program start. So that's already an indication that, okay, no, we're welcoming you, we're saying that you can come. But the main thing is you need to receive a final program offer. Once again, please accept the final program offer, because if you don't accept it, and we're already in the welcoming period. If you are not there and you have not accepted your final program offer, we will cancel your residence placement. Okay?
Thank you so much. Let's give them one last round of applause, ladies and gentlemen. That brings us to the end of our session today. Thank you so much for your time and attention. Should you have any other questions, we will be here in front. Please do have a chat with us and enjoy the rest of the day. Thank you.